Man, 2026 and 2027 promise to be two insane years for those who love RPGs. We're talking about gigantic worlds, choices that really change the story, and graphics that look like they're from another planet. Some of these games are about to redefine the genre, and honestly, many people still have no idea what's coming. So prepare the coffee, adjust your headphones, and let's see the 10 RPGs that will change everything. I'm Daniel, and the video is about to start. If you're an RPG fan like me, who devours hours hunting monsters and diving into dark worlds, The Witcher 4 will drive you crazy with anticipation. Announced at the Game Awards in 2024, this game from CD Projekt Red marks the beginning of a new saga, with Ciri, yes, Geralt's adopted daughter, taking on the role of main protagonist as a professional witcher. The almost 6-minute cinematic trailer shows her taking a contract in a remote village terrorized by a monster that demands human sacrifices. And man, the way they capture that brutal and morally gray vibe is chilling. For me, seeing Ciri at the center of the story is perfect, because after everything she went through in The Witcher 3, she deserves to shine like this, exploring what it really means to become a witcher. What excites me most is the technology behind it. Running on a customized Unreal Engine 5 with real game assets in the pre-rendered trailer on an unannounced NVIDIA RTX GPU. They promise the most immersive and ambitious open-world RPG in the series so far, with complex interactions like smart objects and chain reactions in the world, like Ciri bumping into someone and causing natural chaos with fruits rolling and pigs chasing after. I love this because The Witcher has always been about a living world, and with UE5, I imagine even more fluid explorations, mounts like Kelpie without those annoying bugs from the past, and advanced magic with chains that Ciri uses to detonate enemies. Seriously, this will raise the level of immersion to something I've never seen in RPGs. In development, things are booming. More than 447 devs on the team, more than double the 200 from The Witcher 3, and in full-scale production since November 2024. CD Projekt has even hired 50 new talents recently to accelerate without crazy delays like in Cyberpunk. They plan to release the entire trilogy in 6 years, with The Witcher 4 leading the way, but without a fixed date. They only know it won't be released in 2026, aiming for at least 2027. For me, this shows commitment. After the lessons learned, they are building a solid foundation for faster deliveries later. Don't expect a new trailer at the Game Awards 2025. The bosses at CDPR have already warned that they won't be appearing there, focusing on stable development. But look, I'm hyped anyway, because the tech demo on PS5 has already given a taste of this more reactive and deeper continent than ever before. The plot of the trailer, with Ciri confronting the prejudices of the villagers while saving a girl from sacrifice, reminds us that monsters are not just creatures, they are people too, and that is pure Witcher. In the end, The Witcher 4 seems like the RPG of my dreams. Ciri as the star, a brutal, dark fantasy world, evolved mechanics, and a new saga to get me hooked for hundreds of hours.
Witcheress. What news of my wagons? No eternity is taking that damn salt to arrive.
I found them. And, well, suffice to say, they'll not reach you. As for the salt, I found not one speck. I presume this comes as no surprise to you. Now. Kavir's smuggling trade is of no concern to me.
Shush, shush, shush.
The manticore that flattened your cart and devoured your men. Quite the opposite.
Crimson Desert is the game that finally promises to deliver the definitive open-world RPG that we've been dreaming of for years. And look, Perlibis isn't kidding around. With a release confirmed for March 19th, 2026 on PS5, Xbox Series, and PC, this single-player action-adventure puts you in the shoes of Cliff, a grizzled mercenary trying to reunite his Greymane's companions on the brutal continent of Pywell. What drives me crazy is the absurd scale of this. It's not just a pretty map, it's a living world where you can climb cliffs, glide with shadow wings, fish, tame wild horses, and even pilot dragons. Yes, dragons. The raw medieval vibe mixed with ancient technologies and magic reminds me of the best of The Witcher 3, with the freedom of Breath of the Wild, but with next-gen graphics that make your jaw drop. Combat is where Crimson Desert shines, with a visceral identity that I love. Forget mindless button mashing. Here you need timing for parries, stamina-burning dodges, and creative combos that use the environment, like kicking enemies into bonfires or dropping scaffolding on top of them. The system is freeform, allowing you to use swords, shields, fists, and magic, like the Force Palm, to stun or move quickly. And the boss fights? They are spectacles in themselves, requiring you to climb giant monsters or use specific mechanics of the environment, reminiscent of the grandeur of Dragon's Dogma, but with a much more tactile brutality. For those who enjoy technical challenges and feeling the weight of each blow, this is music to the ears. The narrative focuses on Cliff's lonely and painful journey, but make no mistake, the bonds you form are crucial. The story revolves around reuniting the scattered Greymanes and facing evil forces that threaten Pywell, all shaped by your choices and alliances. The story trailer shows a heavy, dramatic load, exploring who Cliff really is and the weight of leadership, which makes me expect something much deeper than go there and kill the dragon. It's this kind of personal storytelling in an epic world that holds me, making each side quest seem like part of a larger and meaningful whole. And we can't ignore the technical ambition. The game runs on Pearl Abyss's proprietary Black Space engine, delivering stunning visuals with dynamic weather that affects gameplay. Rain creating mud that slows down horses, for example. In addition, the promise of post-launch content with multiplayer and DLCs shows that they want Pywell to be our home for a long time. With pre-sales already underway and additions full of cool cosmetics like armor and mount skins, the hype is real and justified. In the end, Crimson Desert has everything to be the RPG of the decade for those who love total freedom and intense combat. The mix of vertical exploration, complex physical interactions, and a mature story of mercenaries is exactly what I'm looking for to lose myself for hundreds of hours. If you, like me, want to feel the adrenaline of flying on a dragon after a sweaty sword fight in the mud, mark March 2026 on the calendar, because Pywell will swallow our social life. And I can't wait for that. If you're looking for an RPG that mixes insane action with time manipulation, Chrono Odyssey is the kind of MMORPG that makes me rethink everything I've played before. Developed by Chrono Studio and published by Cacao Games, this open-world game in Unreal Engine 5 takes you to the world of Cetera, a living place with varied biomes, dynamic climates, and events that change everything in real time. What caught my eye was the almost 18-minute gameplay trailer showing fluid combat, puzzles with temporal reversal, and epic raids. Man, it's like they took the best of action RPGs and threw it into a massive multiplayer. For me, who loves Metroidvanias with deep exploration, this promises hundreds of hours hunting regional bosses and unraveling labyrinths full of temporal traps. The combat is the beating heart here, with 6 classes that switch weapons in the middle of the fight, precise dodges, reactive combos, and enemies with smart AI that really counterattack. The Chrono, the key artifact, lets you stop time for devastating combos, rewind mistakes in battles, or even alter timelines in dungeons for different outcomes. Imagine failing a jump, rewinding, and nailing it. I get hyped thinking about how this elevates the beat-em-ups that I enjoy, adding temporal strategy for faction PvP and 12-plus player raids with one-shot mechanics that punish those who don't think fast. It's visceral, responsive, and is being polished after feedback from the closed beta, with less lag and smoother animations. After the closed beta in June 2025, which was mixed with criticism for being janky and similar to New World, the devs admitted the errors and promised massive overhauls. Intuitive UI, clear quests, stable performance, a denser world with thematic caves, and branching stories. They delayed the release to 2026 to deliver something polished, with a new marketing beta in 2026 and recent updates showing a lighting overhaul that transforms Cetera into something visually epic. Seriously, I admire this transparency. Better a delay than crunch and a mediocre game, right? They hired feedback to refine PvE progression, social features, and even life skills like crafting. Exploration in Chrono Odyssey seems like a dream for those who enjoy living worlds. Mounts, climbing, swimming, dynamic public events, Void Nexus as massive threats, and roguelike trials with solo chrono gates. There are bounties, PvP arenas, PvEVP extraction in Eden, and bosses with temporal phase shifts that require perfect coordination. For me, this fits perfectly with my addiction to story-driven RPGs, promising immersive narratives about a war against divine forces, with a complete overhaul in the story to really move you. Overall, Chrono Odyssey is convincing me that it could be the next big MMORPG that I'm going to grind non-stop, especially with intense combat and time as a core mechanic that no one does right yet. Despite the stumbles in the beta, the devs are proving that they listen. And with the release on PC, PS5, and Xbox Series X at the end of 2026, I'm already counting the days to dive into Cetera and master timelines. If you like action with brains, like me, this will be mandatory. Trust me, it will blow your mind. Project Tal is one of those RPGs that reminds me how much room there is for innovation, especially when we delve into cultures different from the usual. Developed by Mad Engine, this single-player action RPG in Unreal Engine 5 uses Korean mythology as its base, creating a rich and painful world, devastated by ancient spirits and colossal monsters, where each traditional Tal mask gains new meaning as a symbol of power and identity. The debut trailer already shows cinematic scenes of intense combat, with a protagonist facing giant beasts using dual blades and acrobatic attacks, mixing elements of Souls-like with a hint of Black Myth Wukong. This drives me crazy with anticipation, because it combines everything I like in one package. The combat system is the highlight here. You can jump on colossal monsters, climb their bodies, and attack weak points, but the differential is the companions. Up to 3 intelligent NPCs that take on unique roles as tank, support, or shooter, reacting to your style and protecting you in critical situations. For me, this transforms battles into a tactical dance, where strategy and timing are essential. After so long playing RPGs where allies are just supporting characters, seeing this level of interaction and synergy convinces me that Project Tal can raise the standard of the genre, especially for those who, like me, live for challenging and creative combat. The narrative promises to be deep, focusing on the restoration of a devastated world with stories of healing and alliances, exploring not only battles but also human relationships and the bonds that are formed in the midst of chaos. The open world is vast and detailed, allowing climbing, fluid traversal, and exploration of mythical ruins inspired by Korean culture. Imagine climbing a yokai dragon while your companions fight on the ground, each choice and branching of the story shaping your path. This holds me for hours, because in addition to the action, there is an emotional journey that promises to be as engaging as the gameplay. Development is going strong, with a release scheduled for 2027 on PC and consoles, without a specific date yet. Mad Engine has technical credibility from previous works, and the hype is high, mainly for bringing a Korean single-player AAA to the global market, something rare and promising. They promise a polished game, avoiding the common stumbles in ambitious titles, which makes me excited because, after so many delays and controversies in other releases, seeing a team focused on delivering quality is inspiring. Anyway, Project Tal is the RPG that I always wanted to see with a new face. Korean mythology, acrobatic combat with intelligent companions, emotional narrative, and an open world full of mysteries. For those who like to explore, face epic monsters, and feel the emotion of each battle, this game will be mandatory in 2027. Phantom Blade Zero is one of the titles that has left me most anxious in recent times, mainly because it promises to combine the intensity of Souls-likes with a Chinese cultural richness that few games bring with such authenticity. Developed by S-Game, this action RPG mixes elements of wuxia and kung fu, creating a dark and cinematic world where you embody Soul, an elite assassin who was betrayed, seriously injured, and resurrected for only 66 days to unravel the truth behind the murder of his leader. The trailer shows scenes of ancient cities, mystical ruins, and brutal combat, and all of this gives me that vibe of revenge and drama that makes my fingers itch to play. The combat system is the beating heart of the game. You use two different weapons simultaneously, in addition to the powerful Power Surge, which requires managing a resource called Sha Qi, similar to Sekiro's posture system. The game is relentlessly fast, requiring parries, perfect dodges called Ghost Step, and combinations of attacks that can be cancelled and combined with incredible fluidity. You can also use secondary weapons, such as spears and hammers, in addition to stealth skills and signature attacks such as the Phantom Edge, which allows you to cut the enemy and change the battle scenario quickly. I'm already imagining spending hours in this frenzy of swords, taking advantage of each movement and the weight of the blades in the combos. The story is dark and personal, with a revenge route against those who betrayed you, fighting against monsters and humans in a world of dubious morals. The semi-open setting between cities and dungeons is inspired by classic Chinese culture, with ruins, temples, and scenes of urban ruin that mix beauty and horror. The game promises a rich exploration experience, with hidden items, secrets, and secret paths revealed by destroying the scenery with special attacks. For me, who enjoys RPGs with dense environments, this is pure gold. Each corner can hide a new mystery or rare item. Still without an exact date, the release is scheduled for 2026 for PC and PlayStation 5, with the expectation of a polished game with high-level mechanics, inspired even by the success of Black Myth Wukong. The hype is high, and the development has been detailed through demos and shows at events, which shows that S-Game is taking seriously the request for an authentic AAA from the Chinese market. I respect this ambition a lot, and I'm sure that Phantom Blade Zero can be a watershed for Souls-likes with an Oriental soul. In the end, Phantom Blade Zero is the action RPG that promises everything I love: technical and fluid combat, dramatic story, rich setting, and engaging exploration. If you're a fan of games like Sekiro, Black Myth Wukong, or Dishonored, get ready to lose nights reliving Soul's journey, facing brutal bosses and unraveling conspiracies in a world of swords and secrets. This is one of those games that will make me beat it several times just to master every move and secret.
Go up there. Turn back before it's too late.
Beast of Reincarnation is exactly the type of RPG that excites me, because it looks like a business card from Game Freak saying, we know how to do much more than Pokemon. It's a single-player action RPG, focused on one person and a dog, set in a post-apocalyptic Japan in the year 4026, all destroyed by corruption and monstrous creatures. You play as Emma, a marginalized warrior, cursed as a blighted one, who carries a legendary sealing blade, and has, alongside her, Ku, the partner dog who is not just cute, but a central part of the gameplay and narrative. This premise of one person, one dog, and a broken world already hits hard, because it mixes loneliness, partnership, and that feeling of a journey with no return. What gets me the most is the atmosphere. You can feel a mixture of Nier, Sekiro, and Princess Mononoke in this Japan destroyed by a great beast of reincarnation, with corrupted forests sprouting in the middle of the desert and gigantic monsters walking as if they owned the planet. Visually, the trailers are very reminiscent of high-level Japanese animation, with creatures half yokai, half kaiju, and bizarre mechs sharing the screen with ancient temples. This contrast of sick nature, broken technology, and heavy spirituality is exactly the type of atmosphere that makes me want to explore every corner just to understand what happened to this world. In combat, the game promises to be technical and demanding, nothing of button mashing. Emma fights with katana and blight and plant powers, facing everything from huge yokai to mechs, with a focus on precise dodging, parrying at the right timing, and reading boss patterns. Right in line with Black Myth Wukong, Sekiro, and other more punitive action RPGs. What I really liked is that Ku is not just decoration. He participates in the fights, helps in field control, and, as far as I can tell, unlocks abilities as the bond with Emma grows along the journey. As someone who loves responsive combat and memorable boss fights, Beast of Reincarnation seems designed for those who like to suffer with class. Another thing that makes this game special for me is the promise to explore what it means to be human, in a context where humanity is almost gone. The Emma-Ku relationship is the emotional center. The more they advance in this mutating world, the more the bond strengthens and strange powers emerge, which seems to link narrative, progression, and mechanics in a very intimate way. Themes of identity, sacrifice, guilt, and redemption are being highlighted even in the official promotion. So I expect something much heavier and more contemplative than the typical save the world and that's it. For those who enjoy RPG with heart, this is gold. Knowing that it's Game Freak's first big AAA outside of Pokemon, arriving in 2026 for PS5, Xbox Series, PC, and even day one on Game Pass, you can feel that the studio wants to prove a lot with this project. Honestly, Beast of Reincarnation has already entered my list of mandatory, because it brings together everything I like. Challenging combat, strong aesthetics, strange world, and a protagonist duo with a lot of emotional potential. If they deliver what these trailers promise, this will be that RPG that I play until I memorize every boss and still miss Emma and Ku after the credits. Code Vein 2 is the kind of sequel that excites me because it promises to take everything that worked in the first game and elevate it to another level, especially with this crazy idea of using time as a weapon. Announced at Summer Game Fest 2025, and with a release scheduled for January 30th, 2026 for PS5, Xbox Series, and PC via Steam, this action RPG from Bandai Namco Studios puts you in the role of the Revenant Hunter, a hunter who travels between the present and 100 years in the past to rewrite history and prevent the total collapse of the world. The premise of altering the destinies of key revenants in the past to unravel hidden truths and save the future has already caught my eye, because it combines temporal exploration with that dense and emotional narrative that the first game delivered. The combat system has evolved a lot, maintaining that core of draining blood from enemies to unlock powerful abilities, but now with a completely free build system that lets you customize weapons and skills your way. The jails return reformulated, like the classic Hound jail that summons wolves to suck ichor from enemies, and the new Reaper jail that equips you with a giant scythe for area attacks and brutal counters. There are also the bequeathed formae, which summon unique weapons like the Absolute Executioner, a colossal greatsword that gives a devastating final blow. Man, just imagining myself hitting a boss with this already gets me hyped. For those who enjoy technical beat-em-ups and RPGs with deep progression like me, this seems perfect. The new partner system is genius. You can switch between two combat modes on the fly, with summoning making partners fight independently alongside you, while assimilation merges them with you to increase stats and unleash combined powers. Each partner brings unique abilities and deep narrative connections, so they are not just generic NPCs, they matter in the story and in battle tactics. Characters like Lou Migmel, the Revenant girl who revives you with her own heart and has the power to travel in time, and José Anjou, your mysterious partner in the past, promise intense emotional moments as you explore the two interconnected timelines. The narrative seems even more ambitious than the first game, with a story about blood, destiny, and sacrifice in a future where humanity and revenants are on the verge of extinction because of the threat called Luna Rapacis, which transforms revenants into horrifying creatures called horrors. You will intervene in key moments of history, altering destinies to reveal hidden truths and crucial information to save the future, while unraveling what really caused the fall of the world. For me, who loves story-driven RPGs with emotional weight, this mix of time travel with moral dilemmas and deep relationships is exactly what I want. Code Vein 2 is already on my list of must-haves for 2026, available for pre-purchase in Standard, Deluxe, Ultimate, and even Collector's Edition versions, showing that Bandai Namco is investing heavily in this. After 7 years since the first, seeing the series return with evolved mechanics, temporal exploration, epic bosses, and that dark fantasy anime aesthetic that I love is all I needed to hear. If you enjoy Souls-likes with their own identity, technical combat, and stories that move you, Code Vein 2 will be unmissable. I'm already counting the days to drain blood, rewrite the past, and save the world alongside Lou and José. Fable is the reboot that we've been waiting years for, to revive the ironic magic of Albion. And Playground Games is doing justice to the legend, with an action RPG that mixes absurd British humor with modern epic fantasy. Announced in 2020 at the Xbox Showcase, the game puts you in a living world of cartoonish heroes, moral choices that change your face, literally, and mechanics that recall the best of The Witcher 3, thanks to ex-devs from CD Projekt who migrated to the team. The delay to 2027, confirmed by Xbox Studios boss Craig Duncan in February 2025, doesn't shake me. He said it's worth the wait, and the pre-alpha gameplay shown with exploration in hills, villages, and dense forests proves that it's worth every day. For me, who enjoys light but profound narratives, this is perfect for a world where kicking chickens has hilarious and epic consequences. Combat seems fluid and responsive, with swords, bows, arrows, and magic that require precise timing, parries, and combos that flow like in more accessible Souls-lights. In the alpha footage, you can see the protagonist galloping on horseback, slicing cute and scary hobs, and even sending a chicken into space. Classic Fable that makes me laugh just remembering. The inspiration in CDPR brings tactile weight to the blows, with enemies that mix terror and comedy, like comical werewolves that turn into real nightmares. I love this because it transforms fights into theatrical shows, where you feel the impact and the freedom to experiment with crazy builds in a semi-open world full of secrets and organic reactions. The story promises that sharp satire of the series. Hero in training, heroic guilds, ethical dilemmas that affect the world, and NPCs with explosive personalities, narrated by voices like Richard Ayoade to give the sarcastic tone. Albion is more alive than ever, with bustling cities, magical forests, and photorealistic fields that change with your actions. Imagine growing old ugly for being a villain, or becoming a local idol for good choices. As a fan of story-driven RPGs, this excites me because it balances silly humor with deep themes of legacy and morality, without falling into too much heavy drama. Development by Playground, master of open worlds like Forza Horizon, guarantees next-gen visuals and insane optimization for Xbox Series and PC, arriving day one on Game Pass in 2026. Despite the silence at the Xbox Showcase 2025 and rumors of a delay to 2027, the focus on polishing for the 25th anniversary of Xbox gives me confidence. No crunch to deliver something half-baked. They skipped 2027 to refine, and I respect that. Better a perfect Fable than competing with GTA 6. Honor of Kings World is that kind of RPG that looks at the quote-unquote gotcha and open world formula and says, okay, let me show you how it's done with an infinite budget. Developed by Teamy Studio Group from Tencent, it takes the universe and the heroes of the MOBA Honor of Kings and transforms everything into an open-world action RPG on an absurd scale, with the same stylish Oriental fantasy vibe. The game is designed as a multiplayer action experience where you explore a gigantic kingdom with friends, face dungeons and colossal monsters, but without losing focus on the story adventure and character building. With a global launch planned for 2025, starting on mobile and then expanding to PC and possibly other systems, you can feel that the idea is to dominate the online ARPG space in the same way that the original MOBA dominated mobile. What sells me most on Honor of Kings World is the world itself. Primera, the quote-unquote Land of Dawn, is a continuous open map with very distinct regions such as Jixia Academy, Springbrook Plains, Dragon Valley, and West Airfall Highlands, each with its own look and feel. You're not stuck in little hubs. You can cross everything on foot, on horseback, and even with flying mounts, discovering hidden dungeons, mythical creatures, and iconic landmarks of the Honor of Kings universe reimagined on an RPG scale. This feeling of taking a scenario that was previously just a MOBA map and expanding it into a living world, full of cities, magic schools, and dragon valleys, is exactly the kind of thing that makes me lose hours just exploring without even remembering the main mission. In combat, you can see that the guys don't just want, quote, another mobile RPG. The system is dynamic, fast, and very focused on combining skills, cancellations, and enemy reading. You have basic attacks, abilities inspired by the heroes of the MOBA, and systems like quenching, which is basically refining and awakening the powers of weapons and relics to leave the character's kit your way. In official gameplay, you can already see fights against giant creatures, use of verticality, dodging at the right time, and almost hack-and-slash combos, with character switching in the middle of the beatdown quite reminiscent of Wuthering Waves and the like. As someone who loves responsive action RPGs, this looks much more like a real game than just an automatic gacha farm. Another thing that catches my attention is the co-op proposal. Honor of Kings World was designed from the beginning as a multiplayer experience, not as a single that gained co-op at the last minute. You can face the world in a group, link skills with other players through a cooperative link system, and face dungeons and giant events that look like raids in an open world. The most recent trailers show the team facing huge bosses, opening ancestral gates, and activating relics together. And this gives me a light MMO vibe, perfect for those who want to play with friends without being stuck to 1,000. Toxic systems typical of traditional MMOs. Honestly, this well-integrated social side is what can make this game a daily routine for many people, including me. Thinking about everything, Honor of Kings World is that RPG that seems made to swallow your free time. Gigantic world, enjoyable combat, strong co-op, and an oriental fantasy visual that easily holds any video thumbnail. You can feel that Teamy wants to transform the Honor of Kings brand into a complete universe, going far beyond the MOBA and offering an adventure that mixes exploration of Breath of the Wild with the grandeur of a modern online ARPG. If it maintains what has been shown so far, and controls monetization well, of course, it has everything to be one of the great RPGs of 2026, especially for those who enjoy playing in a group and experimenting with crazy builds with known heroes in a totally new world. Project the Perceiver is that RPG that reminds me how cultural diversity and artistic ambition can transform the genre into a rare treasure. Developed by Chinese studios, it mixes the intensity of Souls-likes with an aesthetic and mythology deeply rooted in Chinese philosophy and culture, creating an open world where combat, exploration, and narrative walk side by side like in an ancestral theater play. You play as the Master of Varietas, an artist brought back by the Eternal Mask to face an enigmatic entity and rediscover the land of Tang, corrupted by conflicting ideals and the chaos of an eternal war. And the way they deal with themes of life, death, and identity has already won me over since the first trailer. The combat system is brutal and refined, with attacks inspired by Chinese martial arts, dynamic dodges, precise blocker, and boss duels that require both tactics and patience. What really differentiates it is the concept of masks. You can capture and use the ideologies of various characters, assuming personality traits and special abilities that change the flow of battle, such as using the Mask of Devotion for deadly theater techniques, or the Mask of Shadow for light and darkness mechanics. For those who enjoy beat-em-ups and Metroidvanias with depth, seeing this evolution in customization and combat is enchanting me, because it's much more than pretty blows. It's literature in motion. Exploration is engaging, with a scenario full of ancient cities, hidden ruins, supernatural domains, and secrets that require discernment to unlock, almost as if you had to be the perceiver to perceive the world in fact. The lore based on Lao Zhuang and classical Chinese philosophy gives dense theoretical layers, influencing both the story and the progression, which makes me want to dive hours into each dialogue, cutscene, and secret room, because each choice seems to carry philosophical weight, not just narrative. The game is being developed for PS5 and PC, with rumors of a release possibly in 2026, and the pace of development shows that the team prioritizes quality and fidelity to the vision, without rushing deliveries to meet fixed schedules. Despite the absence of recent announcements, the gameplay demos and old trailers are consistent in delivering an atmosphere worthy of AAA, and the level of polishing makes me confident that this will be a milestone for the Asian market of single-player RPGs. Overall, Project the Perceiver is the RPG that I was waiting for to get addicted to something genuinely different, where each combat, mask, and secret seems part of a personal and philosophical journey. If the team manages to deliver the totality of what it promised, this game will be a watershed, both for those who enjoy action RPG and for those who value deep storytelling and singular cultural identity.
则唐不灭。
天下是苍生的天下，梁还是唐，这两个字重要吗？
大唐福泽万年，逆贼杀戮无道，如何相提并论？
一将功成万骨枯，总有人要在阴影里背负罪孽。你那戏里的唐，真是你心中所念的唐吗？